Hi, class. This is Dr. Seiwert checking in about your chapters this week. Looks like we're looking at some labor and unions, so very important in our economical structure. One of the things they're talking about in the labor market, demand, supply, and outsourcing is outsourcing. Now, outsourcing, as we know, has been going on for a long time now because companies figured out they could go overseas and have things made cheaper. And so that's kind of been the norm for a long time. And we, in the United States, let's say we have Christmas coming up and many people buy TVs. We like our TVs and they're really cheap. And do we want to pay more if they're made in USA? Well, maybe depending how much more it is. If it's double the price, they won't sell. But, if it's 100, maybe they will if we know it's made in the USA. Now, other things, I think I've talked to you about this before, like ibuprofen, when we started the pandemic, I found out 95% of it was made overseas. Well, maybe that should come back here so we can watch that a little closer. So outsourcing will be interesting, probably not right now because our supply chains are somewhat slow and kind of messed up. But I think that might be an interesting category as we go forward, and maybe you go forward in your classes or your work in our outsourcing. How much of it will come back to the United States? How much will stay here? President Trump was very adamant about that. I don't know how Biden will be, so we'll see. I'm kind of glad to see it come back, actually. And I knew a lot of it was gone, but I think if it helps our workers, that's a good thing. So the labor market right now, of course, there's unemployment's getting better. I think it's a little bit under 7% or just right at 7%. So that's much better than when the pandemic hit. So we are going the right way with it, because we had record lows at the start of the year. So we want to keep our labor market and our citizens working. So that's an important thing as far as someday maybe when you need unemployment or you need something else, we have that funding in place to sustain it going forward. So our labor market is very important. It is a good thing. Of course, we're getting people back to work. Right now, this week at Sedgwick County in Wichita, Kansas, if you're not from here, we're having record high levels of the COVID. So that's hurting now our workforce. It looks like businesses like restaurants and bars are shutting early. And so these are things that we don't want to see because we want our unemployment, we want our labor market to be as employed as it can be, as you've looked at unemployment earlier sessions. So it'll be interesting to see how we go through this. I would think a lot of jobs in the labor market will pick up with the holidays. So hopefully that helps. And I did see Amazon is building a new market out, a new center out at Park Cities. So that'll help our local, economy as well. So, and then the other thing we're talking about is the unions. And I find unions very interesting. Unions are responsible for getting us the 5-day work week, 8 hours a day, holidays, that kind of thing, as well as OSHA things, making the workplace safe. So we have a lot, we should have a lot of gratitude towards the unions, which I do. I think the unions have done a very good job. Now, right now, I don't know what all they're doing. They're not as prominent as they used to be because many companies have reformatted their companies to kind of bust unions, not have them so much. So the union is always trying to help, and help the worker and sort of be that bridge to the worker and, get the fair wages mainly right now and keep people working. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, that's not happening so much, particularly in our aircraft industry. But unions have served a really good purpose all through our economic history. Then we come up to now. Do we need unions? I don't know. I think that we do in some manner probably, so we aren't taken advantage of. But there's some companies like railroad companies that you are union or you don't work. Now, I don't know, do we want that? I don't know. That doesn't seem like a very, one of our free rights, I guess. But I suppose a company can tell us what they want. Walmart is a big company that there's been people try to unionize, but they're very much against it because how are they going to compete? That's their philosophy. Now they probably could, but that's always their philosophy. So anyway, as far as unions, like I said, I don't see them as much as prominent. Let's put it that way. And I'll tell you a little story about unions before I end. When I was doing intern work as a business student at Cessna, I think my first day or my second week or something, they started, the workers started a strike, and they were picketing. And I was driving my dad's little Volkswagen Bug, and I tried to drive into the facility, and they started like rocking my car and everything. And I was scared to death. I'm like 18 or maybe 20. I was scared to death. Of course, my dad never thought people would do that to, a teenage girl, basically. And he was pretty outraged. But I've seen a lot of bad things with unions. They get a little out of hand. And that was one of my episodes. Hopefully that doesn't happen so much now. Hopefully it's more arbitration versus getting people scared like it used to be, the scare tactic. So anyway, that was my story for the week. So I hope you have a good one. And we're getting done close to the end. The final will be the same as the midterm, where there are 70 questions and then a 30-point essay about an economic, something that you've enjoyed learning. And you will want to do an introduction, a middle part that tells me what what you found out or what you learned, and then an ending, so 3 paragraphs. And that's probably some of the easier 30 points you'll get all week or all semester. So anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later.